everyone, it's me Jan, and in this chapter we will transform the overview screen from desktop to mobile view. In this chapter we continue with working on the wireframes, but we have now foundation and all we have to do is to transform the desktop view to mobile. It's important to say that you can design mobile first and then transform the desktop as well. Probably it's the most common design process starting with mobile, but after discussion with client we started with desktop as it's defined as the primary device type. Sometimes it might be easier to design mobile first as well, but if you are starting with desktop, try always to think how each screen will be composed on other devices and keep the screens and features flexible in this way. Now let's go back to the Figma. We will continue with the Figma project from the previous chapter, just switch to the second page of the project called Mobile. On this page you will see a predefined component called bottom navigation. I have also attached my version of the desktop wireframe of the same screen, which will be useful for the current activity. Of course you should have designed your own wireframe, so you can use your original, but I'm attaching mine anyway. Let's start with the frame showing the particular mobile device. In comparison with the desktop wireframe, we need to scale the height of the frame, because we will definitely not fit the current size with all content, so users will be supposed to scroll. Let's scale the frame to something about 1400 pixels high. That should be enough for cards, navigation and so on, I believe. I think we can start with the bottom navigation. If we briefly take a look at the sitemap on the first page, we can see that I have created a subpage called More, including less important pages of the main navigation like reports, taxes, orders and trades history, and this subpage will be crucial for the mobile wireframe. It's important because within the bottom navigation there shouldn't be more than 5 destinations. The page that we definitely should have in the bottom navigation is the overview page, which will be landing page after login, so we put it in the first place. The second might be a portfolio as the second one from the main navigation. The item in the center of the screen will represent primary action. That's the create new button, which will be in the high fidelity prototype highlighted from the other items in the navigation with primary color, but that's activity for the next chapters. Then we have just 2 remaining slots available, so it's obvious that we will put there a watch list and more subpage, which will, after clicking, display a list of those 3 less important destinations. Now we have the bottom navigation ready, so we can put it on the bottom of the screen. Also, I want to point out that we again don't care about icons yet, so it doesn't matter what icons we have there, just we see that icons will be there, so we will change them in the high fidelity prototyping. To continue with remaining parts, we can pick the upper part of the screen. Firstly, I will change the background from the pure white to light gray, just like with the desktop, to communicate the depth of the design. Now let's add a white rectangle, which will represent a header of the interface. I will resize the rectangle to fit the frame properly, and the upper corners should be rounded just like a device. I think that roundness on 30 should be fine, but just for the upper corners. For this you should click on the icon on the right side to see values for each corner separately. On the right side we can keep the icons that we have in the desktop, so it's the avatar, notification, help center and search icon. We still have some place on the left side, so we should choose if we will include the logo or current page. I think that we might hide the overview heading with the time for mobile view. To be honest, sometimes you might have to face cases when you have to hide some elements for the mobile view, but always make sure that those are not necessary for the users. So I will put the logo on the left side and hide the overview with the time. I think that now we can take a look on the cards inside. On the top we will put the horizontal cards, including investing products from the watch list. In comparison with desktop, on the mobile we can use gestures like swipe. Horizontal scrolling will be a key difference for our mobile functionality, because we can remove those arrows as we will go left and right with swipe gestures. So everything we have to do is to remove the arrows and put this line of cards to the top under the header. We can keep it overlapping to express the horizontal scrolling gesture. Under this section, we can keep the main card of the screen, which is a portfolio. Again, we can just modify the desktop card, so I will copy the card and resize the rectangle behind. Also, I should decrease the width of the graph to fit the mobile size. Then I will move the arrow to the right side of the background rectangle and move the drop-downs as well. The remaining parts we can keep overlapping, as we will use again horizontal swipe gestures. For the last two cards it can be simpler, because we just drag and drop them to the device and the mobile wireframe is done. I want to highlight that I didn't care that much about spacing, proportions and so on again, because those wireframes are just for consultation with the client who is aware about the purpose of wireframes. If we use the wireframes for testing, or the client wants to use the wireframes for some additional purposes, we should make them more detailed and precise, but we have those stuff mentioned in the introduction chapter of this module. So those wireframes are showing just the basic structure of the screen, which is the most important for us before we will start with high fidelity prototyping. This was also the last chapter of this module. In the next module we go back to the UI design theory, which will contain lots of practical examples which are key for the high fidelity prototyping, where we will design the final look of the interface. Don't forget to complete the quiz and see you soon.